I've been sent this football shirt mystery box, and we're going to manage whoever is inside until they win a national championship. This shirt's a beauty. I know what this kit is. We've been given FC Versailles 78, who are in the French 3rd Division, and according to the information sheet given to us, they're co-owned by Formula 1 driver Pierre Gasly. Someone send this to Pierre. I am more than happy to manage Versailles for free in return for some paddock pass tickets. Thanks to Surprise Shirts for the shirt. More on these guys later on. We're taking over at the start of March, with Versailles 10th in the table with 9 games to play. Having analysed the squad, a 4-3-3 looks to be our best bet, as we use 2 inside forwards to help our 35-year-old striker score goals. Jonathan Kodija is still good for this level, but at 35, those physicals are going to start declining rapidly, which is why we're going to be relying on Sami Baghdadi on the left wing to do a lot of the legwork in our attack. With just 9 games of the season left, we didn't expect to do much, especially after we lost our first game 1-0 to Paris Atletico. But after that, we won our next 8 matches, with Kodija and Baghdadi scoring 4 goals each on that run. So clearly we have the shape of the team and tactics spot on. We just need to replace the aging players over summer. Incredibly, we almost made it to the promotion spots, finishing just 5 points behind Rouen in 2nd place. But with a budget of just £20,000 heading into Season 2, we need to rely on free transfers. 6 free transfers in fact, and I am particularly excited about 2 of them. Gökhan Işalak moved over from Turkey, and I think he'll be a real goal threat from the centre of midfield. But I am very excited to see the battle between Alex Maitan and Sami Baghdadi take place on the left wing this season. Both could be instrumental to our success. Baghdadi got the start on the left and scored our first goal of the season. Kodija got the other, as we won 2-1 in the season opener. So I kept playing them both, and they both kept scoring, as we won 7 of our first 10 games of the season. So as a result, Alex Maitan just couldn't get into our starting 11. But then I had a great idea. Why don't we just play him on the right wing instead? So that is exactly what we did, and the American made an impact, as he scored a minute into his first start of the season from the right wing. He went on to score 4 goals in that position by the halfway mark of the season, helping us up to top spot in the table, 4 points clear of Khan in 2nd place. After the winter break, the 3 forwards kept scoring, but we were also now seeing the effects of Gökhan Işalak, who after half a season was now well bedded into our tactics. He scored some really important goals, like a late equaliser against Martinguez and Châteauroux, which meant we kept our long unbeaten streak going. With 4 games to go, if we can avoid defeat in our next match, we win the title. So when we took the lead against 2nd place Khan, it felt like we were cruising to that title. Frustratingly, they did pull one back, but they weren't able to score again, and we drew 1-1, which means we lift the French 3rd Division title and earn promotion in Season 2. So big thanks to Surprise Shirts for sending over this beautiful shirt in their Football Manager mystery box. It's super simple. All you do is choose your size, how obscure you want the club to be, and any teams, leagues and colours you want to avoid. Obviously, stay away from Grimsby Town. My box was from their Football Manager edition, which means I'm guaranteed to get a shirt from a playable league in Football Manager. With FM25 now being cancelled, this is the perfect way to choose a new club to start a save with in FM24. For a one-off purchase, use code TOM10 at checkout for a 10% discount. Or use TOM20 when you subscribe to get a new shirt sent every month for 20% off your first order. As a subscriber, you get an extra few perks, like being entered into prize draws. They literally just took one of their subscribers to the Prague Derby on an all-expenses-paid trip, which is so cool. So head over to Surprise Shirts right now by visiting the link in the description or scanning the QR code on screen and find your new favourite football shirt. Thanks to that promotion, we have $750,000 to spend on players. So I do want to spend some of that on youngsters with good potential. So in comes Namir Fernandez for £550,000 from Dunkirk to play at centre-back, and Isaac Cisse for £180,000 from a club in the Ivory Coast. Both youngsters have room to develop and will be integral parts of our team moving forwards, especially as I released almost every player who had an expiring contract over summer. So we had to bring in some free transfers, 10 in total in fact, which means it's going to take a long time for this team to gel. But we have a real mix of experience, like Florian Tardeu, who's played in France and Belgium's top divisions, as well as youth prospects like Quinton Njantu, who was let go by PSG over summer. But he would only be back up to Moïse Dion, who had been playing Ligue 1 football last season with Strasbourg, and the man from the Ivory Coast was leading the line superbly. But of course, he was still being outshone by our cult hero, Sami Baghdadi, who scored even more important goals, like a late equaliser against Le Havre and a late winner against Lorient. We had been predicted to finish mid-table, but at the winter break, we're third and in those playoff spots. But the second half of the season wasn't quite as easy for us. A few more losses started to creep in, and our lack of quality depth was perhaps starting to show. We lost games to the likes of Dunkirk, Troyes and Lorient that saw us lose our third place spot in the table. But we only fell down to fourth by the end of the season, meaning we're in the playoffs. We start off by taking on Sochaux, and the winner of that game takes on Troyes in third place. The winner of that match then plays Metz, who finished 16th in Ligue 1, for a spot in the top flight. But Sochaux had won 9 of their last 10 games, and got the better of us with 2 second half goals, meaning our incredible season ends in failure. We have to push for promotion next season. Once again, we have around £750,000 to spend, but this time I spread it around a little bit more. We paid for 3 players who should provide some decent cover across the pitch, as well as utilising our affiliate link with Monaco, as we signed 2 of their youngsters on loan for the rest of the season. But the 2 players that I'm most excited for, we didn't pay for. Johan Lepanon is a midfielder who was let go from Lyon over summer, and I think he'll add a lot of stability to the side. Then Kenzo Favreau came through our Season 2 youth intake. He's developed, and the plan is to now use him as backup to Sami Baghdadi this season. But thanks to an injury to Sami, young Kenzo was given the starting spot in the side early in the season, and he delivered. He scored from open play, scored from the penalty spot, and even when he had a knock himself, he was able to score goals and provide assists for other players in the team. So this might be the end of the line for Sami Baghdadi. Despite this, we were actually having a very mediocre season, as we lost 2-1 to Amiens, 2-0 away to Red Star in the capital Paris, where then the other Parisian side, Paris FC, beat us by a goal to 0. At the winter break, we're only 10th in the table, but we are only 10 points away from Gangon in second place, so we could still turn this around. After a busy winter break of friendlies to keep match sharpness up, Moïse Dion went to town, scoring a hat-trick of goals to ensure we got back to winning ways. He scored the winner against Dunkirk, got us underway as we beat Montpellier 3-0 away from home, and then scored a hat-trick as we got revenge on Red Star for beating us earlier in the season. His goals earned us wins, and those wins saw us jump up the table to 4th place, exactly where we finished last season, as we enter the playoffs against Dunkirk. The difference this time around is we have momentum on our side. So a goal from Favreau in this 52nd minute and one from Lepanon in the 89th minute got us further than we did last season. Now we're against 3rd place Grenoble, and it's our left back who opens up the scoring early on, but the home side pulled one back before the half-time break. And just after that, we went down to 10 men when a centre-back was dismissed for 2 yellow cards. Our playoff dreams looked over when Grenoble took the lead around the hour mark, but moments later, Isaac Cisse scored against the run of play, taking the match to extra time, where, in the 121st minute, back from injury, Sami Baghdadi scored an insane goal to win the match for us with virtually the last kick of the game. Now we need to beat Toulouse over 2 legs, and we get promoted. We got off to the perfect start as Kenzo Favreau scored a low shot just 7 minutes into our home leg. Then on the hour mark, Moïse Dion's desire to win the ball headed us in front. But with 10 minutes to go, Toulouse were able to pull a goal back. They were not going to make this easy for us. Or were they? Because just 5 minutes later, they gave the ball away cheaply, panicked, and then fouled our left back, and we were given a penalty, which Sahi Dion slotted away. And then in the 90th minute, a defender tried to block a cross, but could only turn the ball into his own net, meaning we win the first leg 4-1. In the second leg in Toulouse, once again Kenzo Favreau scored early on to make it 5-1 on aggregate. But buoyed by the home crowd, Toulouse pulled one back before winning themselves a dubious penalty, which they went on to score. Thankfully, just before the half-time break, Isaac Cisse scored to make it 6-3 on aggregate, a deficit Toulouse were never going to turn around, especially when Sami Baghdadi scored late on to seal the win on the night and earn promotion to Ligue 1. So now we're in the big league, and we just need to find a way to win it. But I don't think we're going to do that this season, with a budget of just 5.27 million. However, I always scout players from the Next Gen Awards. And at number 6 this past season is Mete Ateş. He looks like a beast of a striker with 14 finishing and 17 composure at just 18 years old. The best part about this though, he only cost us £3.6 million from the Turkish second division side. Now this did mean we had to go on the cheap in other areas of the pitch, including making right winger Teen Chuck's loan spell permanent. Hopefully these players are good enough to make sure we don't get relegated. Mete Ateş scored 17 minutes into his debut against Lens, but it wasn't enough as we lost the game 2-1. He then couldn't score against Gangon, so came off Versailles Dion, who did net us our first win of the season in the 92nd minute, before we then lost 1-0 at home to Lille. But our next match was away at Nice, where we pulled off a thrilling 3-2 victory with our homegrown wonder kid Fabreau on the score sheet. And that's pretty much how it went up until the winter break. Win, lose. Win, lose. And throw in a couple of draws, we were the definition of an inconsistent team. But that is better than being consistently bad. At the halfway point, we sit 11th in the table, which is very respectable. We stayed inconsistent in the second half of the season, although this time it was more like win 3, draw 1, and then lose 4, and do the whole process again. But we were seeing some very promising play developing across the team, particularly with our young stars in Fabreau and Ateş, who topped the scoring charts this season with 6 and 13 goals respectively. As a result, we finished 11th in the table, comfortably avoiding relegation, which we will take all day long. Now, what's even more impressive is the fact we've done this with by far the smallest wage budget in the league. This means we've been able to accumulate a ton of money, and now we get to play with it. We have 28 million to spend this summer on brand new players. Therefore, I was happy to let go of everyone with an expiring contract, knowing we had the money to improve on them. But it turned out my first choice left back, Amar Dedic, was going to cost 29.5 million, so we have to go back to the drawing board. We started small by bringing in players to fill the gaps in the squad, and once we'd done that, we splashed out on 2 big signings for the team. Amadou Doumbouya is going to be our rock at the back and command the defence for seasons to come, whilst Gaëtan Sop already looks like an incredible playmaker at 18 years old, and I suspect he could be a future star of the team. Mete Ateş scored 4 goals on the opening day of the season, as we thrashed Strasbourg 7-1. After that performance, I thought this could be our year. Oh, how I was wrong. We got beat up by teams way better than us. The likes of PSG, Marseille and Nice all outperformed us. We did well enough against sides lower down in the table, but we do have a slight issue with Mete Ateş. After scoring his 4 goals on the opening day of the season, he only scored 4 more times up until the winter break. 2 of those goals were to ensure we won games. He got the winner in a 2-1 win against Clermont and a 2-1 win away at Lens. But for our star striker, it isn't good enough. We sit 8th in the table at the halfway point, and we won't be winning the title this season, but we do have a good shot of European football. Ateş did improve in the second half of the season. He only scored 7 more goals, but they were in 7 different matches, so I guess he is scoring more consistently. We also got better results against some of the top teams. We drew with Marseille and Lyon, whilst this time we only lost 1-0 to PSG, which is an improvement. By the end of the season, we'd won 6 of our final 10 games, which does suggest we have good momentum heading into next season, where we'll be playing Europa Conference League football as we finish 7th in the table. Despite that though, we've only been given 16 million to spend this summer. So we sold £9 million worth of players to boost the transfer budget, which allowed us to spend £18 million up front on 4 players and 2 free transfers. Noni Madueke is going to start on the right wing as an inside forward and add a ton of experience. Perone is now arguably our best centre midfielder, so I'm expecting a lot from him this upcoming season. But for £14 million, I'm expecting a huge season from 20-year-old Joachim Capagno, who's going to play in the attacking midfield for us. That's because we're switching to a 4-2-3-1 this season in the hope that we can better support Ateş to score more goals. The issue is, we had some problems getting used to the new formation. After 6 seasons of the same system, the players did find it difficult to change, and that was shown as we lost plenty of games early on to teams that we usually beat. Strasbourg, Toulouse and Nantes spring to mind as they were difficult defeats. But we did show glimpses of greatness. We beat Troyes 5-1 with new boy Capagno scoring a brace, whilst Kenzo Favreau scored a brace in a 7-1 victory against Lille. We just need to unlock this on a more consistent basis. Currently, we're only 12th in the table at the halfway point, our worst start to a season for years. We were much better in the Conference League. After beating Cercle Bruges just 1-0 in the qualifying rounds, we were given a very easy run of fixtures and battered everyone on our way to topping the league phase table. In the round of 16, we comfortably beat Norwegian side Molde 6-2 on aggregate, with 6 different players on the score sheet across the 2 legs. Swiss side Servette were a little trickier in the quarterfinals, but we managed to get past them as 4-1 winners on aggregate, again with 4 different players getting our 4 goals. Gil Vicente in the semi-finals were a lot trickier though. At home we earned a slim advantage as Noni Madueke scored the game's only goal, but in Portugal, Gil Vicente got back on level terms with us. Nothing much happened again until the hour mark when Danny Motta put us in front, and soon after, right back to Gucci extended that lead. However, the Portuguese side weren't giving up and scored not once, but twice with 20 minutes to go to bring the aggregate scores back to 3-3. But with 5 minutes left in the game, our left back, Honest Ahana, scored to ensure we win 4-3 on aggregate and head to the Conference League final, where we'll be taking on Austria Wien for a shot at our first piece of silverware. Back to Ligue 1, and we'd found our mojo a little bit more in the second half of the season, and we were way more clinical in attack, as we scored our highest number of league goals since being in Ligue 1. So for me, the tactical changes are working, it just may have taken a little bit too long for that to have a big effect on this team. We finished with 1 less point than we got last season, but we did score more and concede less, so I feel like we're on the right track. Winning the Conference League would certainly help raise the club's profile to sign better players for next season. The first chance of the game was coming our way in the 23rd minute, when we got the ball out wide to left centre-back Doumbouya, who turned into prime David Beckham, putting a cross onto Attash's head, who made it 1-0. Just a few minutes later, right back to Gucci was attacking down the other flank, and his cross was almost turned in by a block from the defender. Austria Wien had their chances. A header 30 minutes in forced our keeper into a great save, and they did put the ball in the back of the net just before half time, but the man who did it was stood in an offside position. So at the break, we lead 1-0 in what's been a very cagey match. This means we had to start fast in the second half, and we worked the ball out wide to Taguchi, and his cross was met by Atesh, who couldn't score, but following up was Campagno, who could. However, the Austrians were quick to respond to us. 90 seconds later, they were putting in their own cross and scoring a goal. And to make matters worse, another 90 seconds later, Doumbouya pushed over an Austria Wien player, giving away a penalty, which they went on to score. Thankfully, there was then 10 minutes of quiet. This allowed us to regain our composure. Taguchi and Capagno linked up from a throw-in, and the defence stood off our man, who scored an incredible goal to retake the lead. Both sides continued to have chances, but luckily for us, no one else could score. We win the final 3-2 and become Europa Conference League champions. But that isn't our goal. We want to win Ligue 1. Despite victory in Europe, we've only been given 20 million to spend in this transfer window, so we capitalised on Lucas Chevalier running down his contract at Lille and signed him on a free. We also sold Theo Adamola for a whopping 26.5 million, which then let us spend 41 million pounds on new players, including new record signing Sevat Varal, who on paper is going to be incredibly good at getting forwards from left back. I'm feeling so good about this team, I just hope they can now deliver. Mete Atesh scored a hat-trick in a 5-1 win over Toulouse on the opening day of the season, to get us off to the perfect start. He then scored a brace in a 4-0 win against Rennes in our very next match, to make it 5 goals from 2 games. And then he scored in a 3-0 win away at Troyes, making it 6 goals in the first 3 games of the season. Atesh has arrived, and I'm feeling even more positive about this season. Kenzo Favreau was also coming of age on the left wing, and was having his most productive season yet. He became a starter when he was so young, he was still learning the ropes. Now at 21 years old, he has collected his first cap for France, and by the halfway point of the season, he's already scored more Ligue 1 goals than in any previous campaign. The rest of the team was also improved. Another season of playing together and developing, now means we're able to beat teams like Marseille and Lyon, both of whom we thrashed 4-0. There is just one problem. PSG. They beat us 5-0 in Paris and look like the only team that could possibly stop us this season. But we have a 1-point lead over them at the halfway point of the season. We just need to stay ahead. After the winter break, Ateş and Favrio kept performing at a very high level, arguably beyond anyone else playing in the league. Ateş scored twice as we beat Nice 3-1, whereas Favrio got a brace against Reims in a nice victory. After 30 league games, the duo were first and second in Ligue 1 for the number of goals scored. As a result, this meant we were piling so much pressure onto PSG, who was starting to crumble. They lost to Nantes, Reims, Auxerre, and Monaco. Because of this, PSG slipped behind Monaco, who were just 6 points behind us in the table, but they have played 2 more matches than we have. So if we can beat Lorient in our very next game, we claim the title and complete the challenge. Within 100 seconds of kickoff, we were on the attack, finding Ateş in space, who worked it inside to Madueke, who couldn't score, but Ateş followed up and he could. We have one hand on that trophy already. 100 seconds later, we were on the attack again. This time Madueke puts the ball over the top for Favrio, who made it 2-0 within 4 minutes. Then with just our third attack of the game, Taguchi had an area of space to run into and find Capagno, who made it 3-0 7 minutes into the match. Incredibly, after that, nothing happened for another half an hour. But this is when Lorient came forwards. They were making progress down the near side and worked a ball into the middle for an open shot. But Chevalier made an incredible save to deny the hosts. So we hold on to our 3-0 lead at the halftime break. Lorient kept trying to get back into the game, and an hour in, they hit the crossbar from a corner. Then they almost gave us the easiest open goal of all time, but somehow Mete Ateş couldn't hit the target. But I will forgive him. His goals have been a huge part of our season. So as the clock ticks down, we were getting ready to be crowned champions, but where's the trophy celebration? What? Where? Have we not won the title? For some reason, the game didn't show us lifting the title. But we are champions with a 9-point gap to Monaco, signalled by that massive C next to our name on the table. Big thanks to Surprise Shirts for sending over this beautiful Versailles jersey and helping us tell a fantastic story. Make sure you visit their website and order your own mystery box to tell your own amazing story. In the meantime, I built a team of failed wonder kids in Football Manager and gave them a second shot at a successful career, as I made them all 17 again and simulated their careers. To find out if it went any better second time around, click the thumbnail on screen right now. It would be hilarious if they ended up having worse careers than the first time around. No spoilers though, or was that a spoiler? Click the video to find out.